I'm in China and US. Yes. And that's his specialty. That's what he exactly. Okay, fantastic. Okay, cheers. Bye-bye.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Crispy first and second. Nice, guys. Nice to see you here. So I'm in Zurich. I'm sitting in some lobby of the Marriott Hotel. Half-bald friend. Is that me? Am I the half-bald? Half-bald. Thanks for the compliment. Appreciate that. Normally people just call me bald, so that's nice. So I'm sitting in the Marriott Hotel. I'm in Zurich. I'm going to give it a few minutes, just let some people roll in, and we'll get started. Thank you, Chris. I've got my new designer T-shirt on here, switching up a bit from the gold ones, you know. Still have obviously the shine. Can't get rid of that. So yeah, anyway, guys, we'll let it go. I'm gonna get a little work done here in the background. If anybody has a question they want to throw out now, I'll answer it before we get started with the show. I don't know if you guys caught Blocks Live TV. I was on there yesterday and today. Yesterday about Binance. I always like to talk about Binance. Everybody knows Binance is one of my favorite topics to talk about. But yeah, throw questions out if you have some. I'm gonna give it till 35 after, roughly, and then we'll get started.
It's not as nearly as much as the media tries to. The media tries to paint this big picture that sells papers, but if you look at the actual numbers, do the numbers out. I mean, it's not insignificant, but it's not significant either. It's going to affect China more.
Good news. All right, guys. So I'll let this one fly. We're still waiting on this good news to come completely to fruition, but it's not about fundraising yet. What it's about is CoinMarketCap. Finally got back to us with an agreement. So we will be listed momentarily on CoinMarketCap. I haven't gotten, actually, they came back saying that they need us to sign the agreement, and they asked for some information for the agreement, which we sent over. We haven't gotten the agreement yet, but I think probably Monday we get it. And so shortly, relatively speaking, we will be listed on CMC. So that was a little bit of news. I thought we were going to release it the other day because they came back quite fast. We were back and forth with some information. I expected them to come with the agreement quite fast. They didn't. Yeah, trying to get a hold of LHV, by the way. I had my assistant Maris, my great assistant, hats off to Maris, wherever she is right now, calling LHV the entire day yesterday on Friday, like 30 times. We weren't able to get through to anybody that we actually had to talk to, and you would be surprised the amount of emails and that we've tried to send to them, but we're still on their heels. Hopefully we get some response from them soon. All right, guys, one more minute, we'll get started. There's a lot of background noise. Yeah, let me see if I can, give me a second, guys. Just people talking, that's all. It's a conference area, so people talk, unfortunately. I'll see if I can jump back into the room we were in. Yeah, should be better here. Let's see, this is me walking around the Zurich Marriott. It's actually not bad, this room. Not as good as some others, better than most. All right, so hopefully, a little bit of sunlight here. This should be better. So, not a problem, not a problem. Water, by the way, just in case anybody gets a bad idea. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started, guys. So those of you who have never been here, and I'm assuming most of you have, I'm Kevin Murcko, CEO here at CoinMetro. And this is a little thing we do every week called This Week in Crypto. So basically what happens is I have 10 news stories that were curated over the past week by some of our great Telegram supporters and clients. I'm going to go through those. I'm going to spend 1 minute each, roughly, just going topically, giving my opinion, talking a little bit about the news story. Then we're going to roll into Kevin Explains Crypto. So there's usually a one word or a phrase every week, a little crypto phrase. I explain what it means as in layman terms, right? And then after that, we go into Ask Me Anything. So I'll come back here on YouTube, and you have a question, you ask it, I'll answer it. And if there's time, if there's some Reddit questions, we also have a thread every week. People throw questions on Reddit. If there's time and the questions, and there's no questions coming on this side, then I answer those. Simple as that. So it's here in Zurich. It is 4:36. So let's get started with the news. And let's see if I can finish in 10 minutes. Here we go. There's 10 news stories this week, guys, like most weeks. So news, 1 out of 10, Bitcoin has nearly 100,000 nodes, but over 50% run vulnerable code. Well, I don't know how surprising this is to anyone. Look, you're talking about a system, obviously, that is unsupervised, right? Yep, there's consensus in verifying transactions, but there's absolutely no supervision of what data sits on those nodes. So not only that, but for the most part, they're unsupervised in the extent that people can probably get into them and add in malicious code. So I think it's an opportunity for a business. It's an opportunity for a business that can come in and provide some shield, some type of, McAfee system that can basically protect those nodes. Without actually having to have somebody, physically always checking them. And it's probably something that I'm sure security companies are already working on. It's not surprising at all. You're talking about most of these machines are unmanned. They're probably sitting in some data center somewhere. Some of them may be even computers in people's houses, but at that point, they're probably users they don't use, or at least they don't use, on a daily basis. So the fact that they're always connected to the internet, the fact that they probably don't take the right precautions to make sure they're secure, well, makes kind of sense that they'd have some vulnerabilities on them. Number 2 on a list of 10, hackers steal 40.7 million in Bitcoin from Binance. One of my favorite news stories for the past couple weeks here. So I have to tip my hat. I'm going to be honest here. I try to be a straightforward guy. Everybody, I think, that knows me knows I always have a couple Snickers to talk about with CZ, have some gripes. But, initially they said it was maintenance. Can't really tip my hat to that one, but he came out pretty quickly after that to say that they were hacked for 7,000 Bitcoin, and he didn't really provide the old mea culpa bullshit excuse. They had a few excuses in there, but they weren't. It was how it should be. Look, I'm a CEO of a company. I've been CEOs of other companies, whether it's FXPig, CoinMetro, European Crypto Association, real estate companies I've owned in the past, restaurant, bars, all types of different businesses. This is difficult. It's difficult. And the fact that we have these things like Twitter and Telegram make it even more difficult because you get anonymous people that get to send you their opinions. And most people that are anonymous will say whatever they want. And it can really, it's hard, man. It's hard. Physically, it's hard. To hear so much negativity isn't easy. So I tip my hat to CZ for being transparent. However, since then, not a lot of transparency. And that's worrying to me because most hacks, when you really get dug into, you find out it was either not what you thought it was, and it was actually not that bad, which happens, or it was significantly worse. And the fact that there's been no other news, and the fact that many people are asking for this news and we're not getting it, leads me to believe it's probably worse. So we'll have to see how that comes. It's a bit surprising that Bitcoin didn't take a hit. Not that surprising, but it's a bit surprising. Though, it's kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the facts type of thing, except in reverse. So we'll see where it goes from here. But definitely, they created some precedent. It's not great precedent, and I hope he continues to be transparent because the market needs that. Number 3 on the list of 10, Tron's Justin Sun offers to deposit 7,000 BTC. Yeah, great. So Justin Sun got a bit of publicity. That's great that he wants to, pay back Binance's. Anyway, look, I think it was mainly for publicity. To be honest, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? I think at the end of the day, Binance needs to be held up for Binance's, what Binance did incorrectly. And they know they did something wrong. They publicly admitted it. They're the ones that should cover it. I don't know how I see this kind of offer. To me, it kind of looks for looking to get some PR. And obviously he got some. So there you go. Number 4 on the list of 10, 41 million Bitcoin heist will trigger regulations, warns billionaire Bitcoin bull. The regulations were already triggered, my friend. There's probably a file that says Binance on it at every 3- and 4-letter organization in the U.S., and it's probably been there for quite some time, not to mention in Europe and other places. So does it make things worse? Look, there's been a lot of hacks. This isn't the first one. It's not going to be the last. The fact that Binance had their little SAFU fun thing that they set up a few months ago helps a bit probably to mitigate the issue here because in regulated markets, there are hacks too, guys. It happens all the time. But they're required to have compensation funds. The fact they had it's their own compensation fund, which isn't the same thing because obviously when it's your own, you could lie about the amount of money that's in there. But it's a step in the right direction. But they were already triggered. Trust me, they've been triggered for quite some time. This may have, gone from maybe, a medium red trigger to a slightly 3/4 red trigger. But other than that, it hasn't changed anything. Number 5 on a list of 10, 30 plus assets now supported on Coinbase custody. Yep, good for Coinbase. Somebody mentioned that, what about LHV, banks with Coinbase? Why can't you get these assets? If you dig into it, if you're a European client on the trading side, there's only a few assets you can trade. And outside of majors, I think there's only one, and that's Stellar, and that's it. So, but good for Coinbase. Look, they should add more assets. Obviously, look, if you're running custody and you have a bunch of clients that actively hold a lot of one certain asset, you're going to add it. It just makes sense. Custody is not trading. You don't need the same regulatory oversight to add something to a custody solution that you do to a trading solution. So it's much easier. So anyway, I'm sure they'll have much more than 30 going forward. Though at some point, this market is going to dwindle down. A lot of these coins are going to go away. Tokens are going to go away. And we're going to end up with a much smaller market at some point and a much more mature market. But for now, that number is going to grow. Number 6 on the list of 10, we'll tokenize the house. Mortgages are coming as to Ethereum this summer. Hold on. This, I can't read the full. Oh, clicking on the wrong. Sorry. Coming to Ethereum this summer. Fintech startup Fluidity. Okay. Yeah. So there's already loans on the blockchain. There's already structured finance being put on the blockchain. The blockchain is a ledger. Obviously, it works well for transmitting data between parties. And obviously, when you have a mortgage, there's data that gets. And not only that, you can monetize. You can put a monetization layer on top of that data. So not only do you have the data, you have the payments. You have the. It kind of makes sense. They're not the first ones to think about it. I don't even think they're the first ones to do it, to be honest. There's already been houses purchased in cash, let's say, on blockchains. That's for sure. And there's already loans that people can use to probably buy property. Collateralized loans, but loans. So it's just a combination of those two. But anyway, moving in the right direction, but not so sexy, to be honest. I don't really see. I mean, it's probably more sexy to the mortgage originators because it lowers cost than it is to the guy who's getting the mortgage. To him, doesn't make a difference. Number 7 on the list of 10, SEC Commissioner Hester Price concerned crypto industry hindered by regulatory delays. And he would be correct in many aspects. It's not so much the regulatory delay, it's the fact that they're allowing people to operate in a gray market. And the gray market is only going to induce more judicial precedent, and that judicial precedent will force the legislators to make worse regulation, which the regulators will need to enforce. So yeah, they should stand up, get up, and get off their ass and start doing something a little faster, that's for sure. And if they want to talk to somebody about it, they can call me. Ripple XRP, 8 on a list of 10, will be used as FX means of settlement instead of US dollar. Wall Street Forum. Well, no. It's already being used as settlement by some players. They have a few services under the Ripple belt that allow for settlement. We've talked about one here a couple times. Consent to sell, it's called. It's basically you get a Ripple account with a bunch of Ripple in it. You can clear with another party, and you have 15 days to then send the money back to Ripple to replenish the account. Great. It's going to replace settlement of the US dollar. No, I don't think it will. I do think some crypto asset at some point, a payment means will probably start to take some weight away from the US dollar. You're talking about how you price commodities, how you price, but probably the first one to do it is going to be some type of stable coin pegged to the US dollar. So it's not going to make too much of a difference. But eventually, probably, yes, they're right. But these cycles would have happened anyway. Dominance of the US dollar has been going on since the modern economy, the modern paper economy kind of existed. It's going to continue to go on. But eventually that cycle is going to close and something else is going to be dominant. That dominating factor could be a stable coin built on the US dollar. So it wouldn't change much. But it could also be some other type of crypto asset. But yes, that probably will happen. It's probably not going to be Ripple though. Number 9 on the list of 10, Bitfinex users unable to withdraw funds, 430 million drained from exchange cold wallets. Well, geez, another issue with Bitfinex. I wonder if it has ties into the fact that the New York State Attorney General is looking to press charges against them. And now that the federal government is also looking into them. And they probably have a lot of freezed accounts aside from which they've reported already. Yeah, I've mentioned this before. Regulation is a great thing, but understand that if you're on an unregulated exchange and you're like, oh, who cares? I don't care if they're unregulated. It's not my exchange. I'm just here because they have more assets and there's more liquidity. When that exchange gets into trouble, not only the exchange assets are frozen, yours are too. And the fact that they probably don't segregate accounts as they should, it's going to take years for the government to figure out whose money is who. And that's if you get it back. So just keep that in mind. Number 10 on a list of 10, and we're just about on time here, I think. I don't know. I forgot when we started. I think so. Well, we're a little over, maybe 1 minute over. Huobi launches accelerated IEO platform with Thunder token sale. 33 million Thunder tokens were sold during the first IEO. Yep, look, everybody's in the IEO space right now. It's not going to last, guys, to be quite honest. It's not really a solution. It's just, it's compiling all the risk. Instead of having risk on all the different issuers, the risk now lies on one single distribution platform. So the regulators can go after one central platform and just go after everybody rather than have to going after individual issuers. It's stupid. It's stupid in that regard. And it's stupid in that regard because the ICO and IEO are no different. There's no additional anything built into the IEO that would make it more regulatory compliant than an ICO. We have a solution for that, and it will be coming. I'm not going to say anything more about it now because I don't want anybody to copy it. But let's just say that a solution is coming, and in June, I expect to have the first launch of that solution. But IEOs, as they are today, will not last. Mark my words on that one. Okay, so we actually have 8 questions from Reddit, but I'm going to jump on. Let's take some live questions here. So Binance hack, Fergus on YouTube. It seems to be an issue with transfer of hot wallet to SegWit wallet is rumored was the cause, hence the call for reorg. Okay. I guess that's just a statement, not a question. Bjorn, what protections does CoinMetro have against hacks by outsiders or bad behavior by insiders? Well, bad behavior by insiders is obviously, look, these are all, I say this all the time. Every time there's a hack, everybody asks the same questions, right? And I understand that, makes sense. But it's protocols, guys. It's fucking protocols. That's what it is. 99% of the time, it is protocols. Binance is a big organization. Maybe they followed protocols at some point on that side, and then, well, just got a bit too loose. They stopped following. The bigger your organization is, the harder it is to follow protocols. That's for sure. But when you limit the access to a very small amount of people and you keep certain things manual, you reduce that risk substantially. When you automate your transfers between those wallets, or you allow certain individuals in your organization that aren't, let's say, the guys that'll go to jail if the money's missing, for example, the guys that don't really have any risk involved in moving that money, then you carry substantial risk. Everybody wants to automate everything. That's great, but automation is in finance just doesn't work all the time. Sometimes you need to have manual confirmations, guys. It's just the way it works. It protects everybody. Just like you don't want to go through KYC and, oh my God, I had to send my documents 4 times because I probably didn't read the instructions right, or whatever. But I had to go through all this, and it's terrible. All this is done to protect the end user and the company. That's why this is done. So what do? We have procedures. We have procedures that are in place that are easy to follow, and we do audits on those procedures internally to make sure they're followed. Only specific persons have access to specific accounts. We use whitelists. We use blacklists. We use wallets that can only send funds, wallets that can only receive funds. We keep a vast minimum of funds in every single wallet. Cold wallets are multi-sig with several different layers of multi-sig. They have veracity. They have time restrictions. We do a lot of stuff. It makes it take more time. Sometimes it causes delays, but it makes sure the system is secure. What's new on funding? Obviously on a roadshow here, guys. So we have a few interested parties from Luxembourg today. Not too sure so far, to be honest. It was a good crowd, but I don't know yet. So we'll see. But from Luxembourg, I think it was quite nice. One of the other stops we had, which I believe was Milan, if I remember, or Monaco, actually. Monaco. We have a few possibilities as well. Anyway, dig in. These things take time, guys. So unfortunately, most of the time, you're not going to get a close on the same day. So it takes time. But it is ongoing. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, look, I'm always excited. Sometimes on a Friday in the office, I'm just tired. I'm tired now, but, I'm kind of... Anyway, I was just been presenting for 5 days in a row. Something that I say I kind of like to do. Fine-tune the skills, so to speak. So... When are you getting the first IEO, and what is it? I can't tell you what it is yet. It's definitely not a generalized IEO. We expect to do it sometime in June. Public API, right around the release of margin trading. Right after not right after, but after the release of margin trading. Your AMA is good information video, but your view is so low, around 30 viewers. Well, look, we have, 13, 14,000 people, 11,000, I don't even know what it is now, 12,000, I guess, in Telegram. We don't do marketing yet, guys. These views are indicative of the amount of people that are currently active, right? And that's going to change over time. Anyway, putting good content out there, regardless of the amount of views you get initially, is always a good thing. Content brings views eventually. Content brings money. It's all about creating content. So I'll continue to create the content, as I said since the beginning. And eventually those views grow. They've grown since we started. When I think when we started, we had an average of 4 to 5 viewers, only 7 viewers, I think. And now the average is like 30, 35, 40, at least the mean average being about 35. And then we get about 200-300 views after maybe a week or two on each video. So it is growing, and it'll continue to grow. Does CoinMetro have a COO? Sebastian was a COO, but he was it was a temporary gig. And after the 4 months that we initially signed, we parted ways. He had other things that he was focusing on. We are looking for, we're not actively looking right now for a COO, but it will be a position we will fill once we get through this fundraising round. Of course, we need to do marketing. And if you have some money you want to invest in some equity, we'll use that to do some marketing. So as we bring in funds, we will do marketing. But guys, it's important that you have a fully functional ecosystem before you start to market it. We can market our crypto platforms and compete with Binance and everybody else. Not the best thing to do. There's certain ways we can compete now, that's for sure. We pay makers, for example. Nobody else is doing that really, at least not on unleveraged. Margin trading, having GUIs that maybe people like better. There are things, having customer support that usually, that for the vast majority of people works great. And I think, we can market those things, that's for sure. But right now that budget needs to be put into building out more services. As we get more money, we start to do more marketing. The guy in Lugano, yeah, back and forth a little bit, but yeah, sometimes guys, you think you have a lock, and it eventually not becomes a lock. Whether your communication gets subsided, some people just put on a show, they come for a free lunch. You never know. That happens a lot, and I've been through fundraising many times, and lots of people come for free lunches, and sometimes they're hard to spot. So we'll see. Still in contact, but not so enthusiastic about that one anymore. So the cool news I mentioned already, Zemel, was CMC. So CoinMarketCap finally came back to us saying they're going to send us an agreement. So the listing will go live. So we didn't get the agreement on Friday. I expect we'll probably get it on Monday. I will sign it immediately. And then hopefully next week we will be live on CMC. BizDev. So what's new on BizDev? There's a lot of things on BizDev. Still working on a few of the same things on BizDev, building them out, white labeling our KYC platform, getting more clients onto that. Looking to provide crypto liquidity to different platforms, different relationships with other exchanges and wallets that need liquidity or need KYC services. That's another thing. You'll notice that the US, with this FINRA nonsense, has now said that they're going to look to require KYC and stuff on wallet providers. So we've been starting to approach wallet providers and different types of other types of services in crypto, so that we can kind of onboard them, and then obviously share liquidity and other things. So there's a few other things, but to be honest, guys, it's been a long week, and I don't quite remember. But there's a few things that we set up for next week as well. I think I have a call Tuesday or Wednesday with another possible development. We have the CSD that's ongoing. We have the protocol that's ongoing to connect the CSD to all market participants. There's a lot of things going on, not only on the development side, but also direct biz dev for sure. How much funds have we raised? Obviously, we had an ICO. We raised 10 million euro. By the time we liquidated, it was about 4.5 million euro. And during this equity raise, which really has been going on now for about, not just sending out emails, but actually really getting into the fundraising about 3 months. 4 months. We've raised about 10% of what we're looking to raise, which is 5 million. It's always slow at first, guys, and the market doesn't. The market doesn't really matter if the market's good or bad. It's always slow at first. It only takes one, but sometimes you have to speak to 1,000 people to get that one. And when you have to do this mostly in person, speaking to 1,000 people can take some time. So we've been able to raise enough money to make sure that we have a bit of a cushion, and we're moving forward, and we're able to pay our burn rate and all that good stuff. But we're waiting on bigger tickets. So bigger tickets will come, and when they do, we will start with a much bigger marketing push, a regulatory push, etc. Would CM go for VC for fundraising? CM could also possibly list as a penny stock. I wouldn't want to list as a penny stock. There's other ways to do it if we wanted to go down that route. I used to trade pink sheets back in the day, so I wouldn't do that. But yeah, we've talked to some VCs. Look, a lot of VCs hear crypto, they run away. They don't understand it. A lot of VCs say, it's just another exchange. They don't even bother kind of delving in. They look at so many projects that, to be honest, to condense what we do in a short time period can sometimes be difficult. I can do it. I can give you the short 5-second pitch. It's Revolut, Coinbase and Robinhood rolled into one. It's a retail front-facing entity that attacks several different segments and 10 different verticals, all with a very to use, ecosystem. All right. But the problem is that it's something that really hasn't been done before. And VC money, especially crypto VC money, they try to get things that they consider to be innovative. And obviously traditional finance to crypto VCs isn't innovative. And then traditional VCs don't like crypto yet, or they simply got involved in crypto in 2017, lost their shirt, and think that price point of Bitcoin somehow dictates the value of a business, which it doesn't. So, but yes, we do talk to VCs, but mainly, to be honest, it's mostly angel investors. Some angel investor groups, larger angel investors, and yes, some VCs and some funds. But again, it can be difficult. It can be difficult with those guys, more difficult than angel investors. How close are you to finding a new banking partner? Ongoing. So we just I think we're waiting. Probably on Monday we'll get onboarded with this EMI provider in the EU. That's a liquidity provider of FXBig. We're going to start our authorized representative licensing as well there for CoinMetro. We'll be able to use them for 30 different currencies. We're negotiating a bit on the cost. If we can get the cost close to what LHV is, then we will have a euro and a pound provider outside of what LHV provides us for the same price. So I'll know more about that next week. But there's also, look, we look for banks all the time, but you need the right banking partner. Just getting another bank doesn't solve the problem, unfortunately. Swift response by LHV isn't that swift. Yeah, well, Swift isn't that swift either. I mean, that word tends to be utilized incorrectly by many different institutions. How alive is Cryptopia in your opinion? How alive? Not quite sure how you define the word alive. I would say they're closer to dead than alive. I guess that would be my response to that one. Are you still getting USD next month? Yep, USD still on the horizon for next month. So we have remittance license in Australia. We're waiting on our crypto license in Australia. I think probably by the end of this quarter, end of June, we should have the ability to start to expand into Australia. Yeah, well, yeah, Cryptopia, well, that's a decision you need to make. I don't want to directly, I have opinion about a lot of things. I don't want to directly have an opinion, but obviously if you read the news and you see what's been going on, I would say that they have, while we may have struggles as far as growing pains, I think they have much more imminent struggles that are probably more detrimental to their business than what we have. And, when you start from the bottom, there's really only one way you can point. Your trajectory only goes one way. When you've kind of hit a point where the growth has stalled, and then you have issues that are systemic, it's a bit of a different story. So new crypto pairs coming soon. Well, we're waiting on the bank for those crypto pairs. So yes, they're coming soon. Unfortunately, it's not in my hands yet to how soon that can be. From a technical perspective, we'll get them online very quickly once we get an approval. I think should expand to Japan, higher population and interest. Higher population compared to what? To Estonia? Yeah, yes. Compared to Europe? Nope. Yes, they have a high interest in crypto. Asia in general, Japan included, are gamblers for the most part. So yes, they have a high interest in crypto, just like they have a high interest in FX. However, regulation in Japan, while it is more stringent, which I kind of like, is for the Japanese market only. So you go to Japan to be in Japan, and without the right Japanese partner, you don't get anything done. And unfortunately, I have yet to find a solid partner that I believe is the right partner for CoinMetro in Japan, and I've been looking. When we find that, it'll definitely be something we look into. One of our shareholders has a home in Japan. His wife is Japanese. He's lived there for some time. He's lived there off and on, and we've been looking since the beginning to find the right way to move into Japan, but we haven't found it yet. But it's not the solution right now. It's not the solution because it's a very regional market. Japan market is for Japan only. Compare with Australia. Well, Australia actually has higher FX volumes than Tokyo does, and that's mainly because a lot of money flows. Well, it used to flow out of Japan until the JFSA stopped Japanese residents from onboarding at FX pump brokers that were not regulated in Japan. They haven't done that yet with crypto. They probably will. But a lot of liquidity flows out of Japan and out of Asia through Australia as an Asia Pacific hub, and it's much easier to get as an English speaking company, let's say, to get a foothold in Australia. And we get a foothold in Australia, and eventually we can get that foothold into Asia as well. Yeah, margin trading is on tap. I haven't talked to the guys specifically about margin trading. I saw a couple GUI changes. There's been about 4 or 5 different updates on the sandbox. We're close. So, yeah, I think we're still on tap, Bjorn, for next week. All right, I'm going to run on to Reddit because we got a few questions on Reddit. Let's knock those out. Let's see. Well, when TAM will release. So we will work on TAM right after we get through margin trading and probably margin lending. So That means probably towards the end of this quarter, we will start the work, depending on how long the work takes. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember the development plan for TAM. I think it's 12 weeks. It might be 8. I don't remember correctly. That's the next project we will work on after margin trading and lending, mainly because we got the okay to do it without any additional regulation. Okay, so there's a bit of background noise here, guys. Bear with me.
We were not allowed to come back inside.
Okay, so Reddit, let's see. Does CM actively, we have Robin Timmerman on Reddit. Does CM actively comply with common reporting standard, especially once you implement IBAN accounts? What's the difference between a virtual and a normal IBAN? Yes, we do. And we do comply with common reporting standards. And IBAN accounts will be umbrellaed under an AR license. It's a bit different, but yes, we do comply already. The only difference between a virtual IBAN and a normal IBAN is virtual IBANs are provided under EMI license or PI licensed entities. They can't provide actual bank accounts because they're not a bank. So, but in operational wise, there's virtually no difference. It's just a way. It's a way to allow bank accounts to be opened by non-banks. That's it. Millhouse Van Houten. Hey Kevin, the AMA is always good to ask you what's going on. Hence, I wanted to ask what's going on right now. Well, we're still on our little investor kind of roadshow here, and yeah, this is going to end today. I'm figuring out where I'm flying here in the next hour or so, and then perhaps next week there's going to be a couple other of these type of events. I'm planning something else for June as well. As far as development, margin trading coming imminently. We have CMC that now we're waiting on an agreement, so we'll be listed there shortly. Yeah, lots of other things too, but I'm going to try to move forward on this because I got a limited amount of time, only because I have a flight coming up here and we have to move shortly. Okay, I remember these talks. Crisp 808, I remember there were talks in Telegram and ideas on reward big investors to encourage them to hold. Have you decided anything? Still working on it. We're working on a few different things. And to be honest, that talk has now moved more onto not the development side yet, but kind of halfway in between the idea phase and then what is possible to develop so we can get back into the idea phase and kind of branch those things out. But yeah, we're still working on those. There's a couple really unique utilities coming out with these IEO type launches that I've talked about, as well as we get more services that we plan to offer. We've built in some more utility into some of those services that were on our roadmap as well. So it's coming. But no real date yet. It's really something that doesn't really have a roadmap date because it's something that will continue to be developed over time. Doppelmonk also on Reddit. When are you going to list new coins paired with BTC and ETH? Yeah, well, again, you stated right in your thing. It's the banks. It's the bank. It's the bank. It's the bank. It's the bank. I know this seems painful now, but trust me. When we are the only ones that are allowed to trade certain assets, when the bank, when regulation comes in and basically just picks off all these different assets off exchanges, and people are stuck with tokens that they cannot trade in a super illiquid manner, and the only thing they can do is go on a DEX and probably sell it for 20 cents on the dollar. You're going to understand why we went through this process. When will we have a budget for marketing? We would have there's no way to have a date, guys, because obviously we're fundraising. So dates happen when we have money. And before the money comes in, we can't get the date. As soon as we have the money, we set the date. How important is it trustworthy and solid management of the company issuing a cryptocurrency for investors? And how do you rate your own company in that regard? How important is trustworthy, solid management? Well, it's important in every case. It's 100% important. Companies are only as valuable as the people behind them. Companies don't run themselves. We don't have companies built on machine learning and AI yet. It's people behind the company. If the people are not trustworthy and there's no solid management, then whatever they're issuing is worthless. Might not be worthless. Might have some indicative, price tag on it initially, but in reality, it's worthless. How would I rate our own company? Look, every company has struggles. So trustworthy and solid management. Look, being in management on many sides. I know I have strengths in certain areas and I know I have weaknesses, and I try to fill those weaknesses with other people on my team that I know are better at me in those specific areas. Obviously, we still need to build out the team. There might be holes in the team, that's for sure. I think our management is pretty solid. Look, it's hard to deal when you have to go through a process where you have small failures and you have delays. We talked about CZ earlier with margin, with them talking about this hack, and it's difficult. I tip my hat to him. I've had to do similar things. It's difficult to tell the truth sometimes. but it's 100% necessary. So how would I rate? I don't know if it was A, B, C, D, E, F type of system. I think right now, I think when we started, we were probably in the D category right away. We were putting together a team of people that never worked together. They never had done anything together. There was no continuity in what was going on. That takes time to get. It just doesn't happen overnight. It wasn't like we were all in the same, class at university and somehow, we've been working together for 20 years. This is a new team that comes together. It takes time, guys. As that time unfolded, we've definitely gotten better at what we're doing. And we've definitely been able to fine tune things. And I think now I'd rate us somewhere probably between a C+ and a B-. And I think at some point we get to that A level, and we will get to that A level. But it takes time and it takes cohesion, and cohesion does not happen overnight. And for teams that think that cohesion happens and thinks that you just need to get fast and get to the end zone as quick as you can, a lot of times those guys crumble in the end, right? So we take the other approach, and I would say, let's say it's somewhere between, I don't know, B-, C+ right now, and it's getting better. Any thoughts on Bitfinex LEO token sale? Bitfinex, guys, on the radar of the New York State Attorney General, one of the most prolific prosecuting agencies in the entire world is looking at them. I would treat that company from a distance for that reason, regardless of anything else. The New York State Attorney General, guys, doesn't bring investigations unless they're pretty sure they can bring charges. And they definitely don't make them as public as they did. And when they bring a charge, I forget their exact conviction rate, but it is super high. These are the guys that brought the RICO statute, brought down all the mafia, blah, 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 blah. It's big. It's big and it's scary. And if I was Bitfinex, I'd be scared. And the fact that they're doing all these other things now to basically try to fill the 850 million hole that's been publicly announced now just seems a bit. I would step back. That's what I would say. Most clients are interested in TAM. I think that's an opinion on your side, but lots of clients will be interested in TAM. The reason why we have it is because it allows us to basically take retail traders that are losing money and stick them in a vehicle that makes money. FXPig, 30-40% of the volume, even today, still comes from managed accounts. In the beginning, it was 80%. So yes, it's a big product. We will release it, but we need to have an exchange that's fully functional, that is solid, that has margin, has leverage before we can release TAM. It has to happen afterward. If not, then you're basically creating a platform that has a lot of bells and whistles, but just doesn't have enough service behind it to be usable. David, what was the good old big news from yesterday? CMC, CoinMarketCap, finally agreed to send us a agreement. We will be listed shortly, soon. I think we'll get the agreement on Monday. Hopefully next week we get listed. So that was a new. Bigger tickets. Can you get from China billionaire if possible? Most rich China investor would like to invest. We can take Chinese money as long as the guy's not PEP and sanctions. As long as he's got no adverse, as long as his adverse media connection, he's not sanctioned. He's not a PEP that is of some type of risk to us, and we can do our due diligence. Yes, we can take that money. But just because someone has money doesn't mean I take it, right? But yes, theoretically, yes. What did you say about CoinMarket? Yes, CoinMarketCap, guys, David, and everybody else in the room has now talked to us on Friday about sending us a listing agreement. So we've gone through the process. We're done. We'll get the agreement. I will sign it. We will be listed. So hopefully that happens next week. When will CM start to make profit? Well, we make revenues now. Profit, it really depends on this raise, guys. We need money to expand. The expansion will allow us to expand marketing for sure. Look, right now, the amount of money we make per client is actually higher than we originally thought it would be. So the multiplier is there, and it's a great multiplier. Now we just need more clients. So to get more clients, we need marketing. We need a budget. So once we have the budget, let's say we got the 5 million we're looking to raise today, it's going to take us a relatively short amount of time, in my view, to get into self-sustainability. And that can be anywhere from maybe 9 to 18 months. And if you compare that to Revolut, who's still not profitable, by the way, Monzo, you compare it to any of these, let's say any segment that we're looking at, whether it's Challenger Bank, Coinbase in the crypto market, and especially when you take out the highs and the lows. So just look at the mean, not necessarily the average. Take out the high and the low, look at the mean, or take an average after taking the high and the low out. You'll see that this, even Coinbase without the highs, let's say of the bull run, might still be an unprofitable territory. Even Binance could possibly be an unprofitable territory. They'll probably not, because they don't have a lot of compliance costs yet. how much FX Pig earned, how big. FX Pig is not big. It's not comparable in size to what CoinMetro is looking to do. It was a niche broker. I created it because I was a trader and I couldn't find a place I wanted to trade, so I created one. And then I worked individually with clients to make them profitable. And I did that for 10 years. And dealing with all types of aspects of creating liquidity and things like this. So, you're talking about 500-600 active clients. You're talking about maybe a client book of 7,000 maximum, but the profitability ratio very high, 30 to 35% of revenue, which is unheard of in regulated finance. Mohammed, the FX Pig liquidity provider you mentioned that they got their license. When will you incorporate those currencies? We just finally finished the onboarding process. Next week, we should start the technical process, depending on how long that takes. I think within 2 to 3 weeks, we will be able to incorporate some of those currencies. Will Mr. Bananas be CoinMetro's mascot moving forward? It's a very serious question. I'd have to think about that. He's definitely the AMA mascot, that's for sure. I don't know how we incorporate him with the train yet. Maybe a train car with bananas in it. I'd have to think about that. But he's definitely going to be around for the AMA. He's not here today because he couldn't travel with me. Unfortunately, he was sick and had to stay home. He had a banana that was a little ripe. Yeah, had to stay back, unfortunately. Did you say earlier you owned a bar restaurant? I did years ago. It's called the Lucky Monkey. So yeah, I did. Any news from the bank about listings? Nope, no news yet. We've been trying to call. I had my super assistant Maris, call on Friday about 30 times to different numbers and couldn't get through to someone we needed to get through to. Emails have been sent both from our head of legal, myself. We follow up on quite a frequent basis. Still waiting, guys. Does this mean you will be able to list assets? It's going to be a business decision internally because it will cause some issues with our other banking partner. That's for sure. And we have to find the technical way so that they don't get exposure to something they don't want to get exposure with. So that'll take a bit of time as well. But it opens up the possibility and opens up the door for us to look at those technical solutions so that we can do that. Doesn't mean it happens immediately, but it allows that to happen. Do you plan on incorporating advanced and intermediate exchanges on the app? Yes. FX Pig and CM will merge. The idea is that either it's a merger in the future or it's that CM basically takes the FX Pig infrastructure, so the same platforms, the same access to assets, and incorporates that into CM, whether that's through a white labeling franchise agreement with FX Pig or it's some type of merger. But yes, the end game is to have everything on one platform, and that would almost 100% be under the CoinMetro brand rather than the FX Pig. All right, guys, I have to almost start to get running here in the next 2 minutes or so. Have a plane to catch, I think, hopefully. So when will we be getting community features like chats? Yeah, we started building it out. We ran into a bit of an issue because we were trying to incorporate our own Telegram channel, but I think that's less of an issue now because we can just create new communities inside. So it's something that I was stressing for quite some time, and then we really needed to push out some monetized piece. Can't really monetize those chats, right? But we can monetize margin trading. We can definitely monetize the KYC modules, which we have already. So the focus went there. With capital coming in, that'll be a focus because we'll have some more people to look at it. But I do think right now, if I'd have to say, it's probably after the TAM gets pushed out. If we continue down the same path right now without gaining a big ticket in the next 2-3 months, it's going to be TAM first, well, margin trading, margin lending, TAM, and then probably community features. Because then the community will have something to talk about because there'll be features for them to use that aren't necessarily available elsewhere. Yeah, people have talked about forums. Forums, I think, are old school, guys. Telegram, WhatsApp, all these things are kind of immediate forums. Yes, forums, I guess, are searchable in some aspect, but I think most people now, especially young people, want instant access. They just want to be there in the moment. We may look at putting a forum. I don't know. I don't really see that as something necessarily beneficial. But the community chats, I think we're definitely doing that. That's for sure. It's something we talked about, especially from an SEO aspect. There's things we're going to do on the front end too with those chats. So we'll definitely be going down that road. When do you plan to integrate the news feature on the exchange? Again, not monetizable. So probably is going to happen as a additional service after we get some of the more monetizable features out. Margin lending, margin trading, TAM. And then we start looking at, unless that's on the estimation that we don't get this big ticket in the next 2 months. If we do, that changes the scenario a bit. We'll expand to OSPI this year. Yes, I believe we will. So we already have one license, waiting on another. Once we get that license, we'll start the expansion. I believe that definitely probably happen before the end of the year. Yeah, forums are for boomers. I agree. Okay, guys, 2 more minutes. I'll take questions, then we're going to wrap up. About the new website, is that pre-TAM, but after margin? Sorry if asked already. So the new website, the problem is right now, guys, I'll be 100% honest. We need to pay a developer because we don't have one on our staff that's free that can take the mock-ups, which are already done, and convert that into front end. So if you know anybody or anybody out there that wants to do this, especially if they want to do it for XCM, I have a job for them. We haven't been able to, we can't spend money on that right now, unfortunately. We have to spend money on services, unfortunately. And it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, and I understand that. But that's the case. So we'll see what kind of tickets roll in over the next couple of weeks. It's still possible that it'll happen in May. That's for sure. I'm trying to negotiate a deal, but we'll see. It's a priority, but at the same time, we need to get services launched. Forum can be able to do marketing, and many can make friends from forum. Yeah. I think if you look at most exchanges, there's no forums, right? That doesn't mean that a forum is a bad idea. It just means that nobody's really focusing on it. Again, maybe that means it's a good idea. I don't know. I think the chat will help, and then we can ask people. We can run, if people want to have a forum, well, maybe we make one. Also, could we keep the beta open? It would be real. Yes, beta will stay open. The open platform will eventually become the demo platform, and we will use it as a lead generator for live. And that's what every other market does, right? There's a demo platform. People use it, they like it, they convert to live. It's a lead generating engine, and yes, it will stay there 100%. Okay, guys, I have to run. I apologize a bit earlier today, but I think it was, I forgot something. Kevin Explains Crypto. Okay, so the topic this week for Kevin Explains Crypto is, or the word or the phrase or acronym is an acronym this week. It's TPS. So TPS stands for transactions per second. And it's basically the measure of the amount of transactions that can be confirmed in this case, on a blockchain within a second. Famously, Bitcoin being one of the more slower blockchains out there because, well, it was the first really to put on this kind of monetization layer, which is Bitcoin, can do 7 transactions per second. Obviously, in order for something like finance, private permission blockchains can go much farther, millions of transactions per second, at least in theory. And there's some blockchains already out there that can do 30, 40, 50,000 transactions per second. When you compare that to something like Swift, MasterCard, Visa, where those guys can go upwards of 80,000 transactions a second. So we're getting to the point where we're going to surpass them. We're not really there yet, at least for public blockchains, but we'll get there. But TPS, transactions per second, that's what it means. Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys in Telegram. I got a bit of traveling to do. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. I can't thank you guys enough. If you have some investor friends out there that want to take a look at CoinMetro, let us know. Buy some XCM over the weekend. Don't look at any other pricing. Have a great weekend. Spend some time with friends and family. I'll see you guys next week. Again, appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And olvídese. And see you guys next week. Cheers.